practicing cardiology for 17 years now, of which the majority has been at The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center. I chose Columbus, Ohio to work in because I grew up here, and so my parents were still living here at the time when I was searching for a job. And I wanted a city that would be good to raise children in and also have some work-life balance. And so that's how I chose Columbus, Ohio. And then when looking for jobs here in town, I was looking for the job that would allow me to have the right work-life balance, but still be able to really achieve the things I wanted to do professionally. And fortunately, I've been able to do both. The way I found out my job is a little tricky. So back in the day, there were recruiters, but there were no apparent openings in Columbus at that time. And so what I did was I just reached out to the practices through relationships that I might have known someone working there, and asked them, are they looking for any cardiologists? And that's how I was able to open the doors. You know, the biggest challenge during my job search process was finding out what jobs were available, what the criteria were, and especially to understand, were they going to be able to do the things that I needed. For instance, at that time, I wanted to start a women's heart program, and were the practices interested in a women's heart center was the key thing, as well as I used to do advanced imaging with cardiac CT and MRI. And who was running that program? Was it cardiology or radiology? Would I have the opportunity to read? So those were some of like the finer nuances that were pretty big though for me at that time. And so I found it hard when you're just navigating this big space, looking for jobs and not having the criteria right out in front of you. The most helpful thing for me during the job search process was connections. So I was able to open doors with connections that I had, but also those connections were able to help me in terms of making sure my CV looked good, making sure that I knew as much as I could about each of the practices, and making sure that I could answer the questions in the right way, so like practice test questions. So connections was the biggest thing that helped me in my job search process. The advice I'd give residents who are beginning their job search process is to really get to know what the culture of the practice they're going into is like. It's so crucial to understand what the culture is in terms of how do people treat each other? How do they treat their staff? What is the culture in terms of weekends and holidays and sick time? Those are really key important things. And then how long are people staying at their practices? Are they staying really late, or are they having a good work-life balance? At the end of the day, well-being or burnout are very high areas of interest in medicine right now. And so I think it's important for people to really figure out what the culture is, and does that culture really jive with what they're trying to seek in a practice. It's not to say that any job's going to be super easy, but finding the right balance for yourself and finding out where you can fit in that culture is going to be important, because if you're not happy, it doesn't matter how many dollars you're making, you're not happy, it's miserable, and eventually you burn out. So finding the right match is essential.